So when the current CBA was negotiated, a few things to me stuck out. For one, the owners and the players reached an agreement very quickly. And two, the players were able to snag a higher portion of the revenue sharing than the owners did. And it made me wonder, how did all these billionaires that have a team of lawyers who work for firms that have decades of understanding contract language let the players on the surface level seem to gain the advantages over them? But as time progressed, we're starting to see a bit of unraveling of what was really lying underneath the cracks. With the 65 game rule, it's also tied to players making all NBA and winning individual season awards, which is also tied into their contracts. Now, Tyrese Halliburton this season could be one of the first victims of this new 65 game rule, as he went down with a hamstring injury early this season and then quickly came back and then sort of re-injured himself, and now he's up to a 22 game per minute restriction just to maintain his standing so he could possibly re-up for Supermax. But if he does continue to miss games, he could miss out on over making $40 million. But interesting enough, your favorite Shot Jackers podcast, Gilbert Arenas, spoke on this. You guys check it out, and every once in a while I'll check in.
That 65 thing issue is saving owners money. All it is. Because if you're Indiana, right?
Indiana, first of all, is a franchise that has always been known to trying to save money, as AD made a commitment to Paul George of wanting to go to Indiana, but the Pacers kind of allude to Paul George that they were really in business of just being competitive and just selling tickets. And this is out of Paul George's mouth.
You would rather him miss all these games and not make an all-NBA so you can get him $40 million cheaper.
Right.
That's what he's alluding to.
Yeah, because at the end of the day,
right? You know what I mean? I'm a small market team.
I don't want to have to pay you.
If I can save $40 million, think about where I can put the $40 million.
Right. Because you probably ain't gonna stay here anyway.
And they banking on you not playing that 65.
I'm even enticing it. Oh, we're not going. Hey, that's still hot back there. I'm gonna say whatever to keep you the fuck off the court. Championship teams are built off bad contracts, right?
That is facts. That is facts. Even Michael Jordan, in a way, even LeBron James out in Miami, I wouldn't necessarily say they were in bad contracts, but they definitely took a discount.
The Bulls was built off of bad contracts, right? Steph Curry's championships was built off bad contracts.
That wasn't necessarily a bad contract. That was the Warriors actually giving him a handout early, because Steph at the time was viewed as a player that's more likely from season to season will miss 20 plus games because of his ankles. He was having a lot of leg issues early on in his career. But I'm gonna shoot the Pacers some bail. They are playing Halliburton 22 minutes to actually fulfill the obligations of him making those 65 games. But once again, those could be for optics.
Hurt his ankle, right? They got him for cheap. They got his ass for cheap because of his ankle, right? So now he becomes this mega star making $55, $60 million, right? So,
and they also got him for mega cheap, while at the same time in 2017, the salary cap going up, which allowed them to sign Kevin Durant.
So when Kevin Durant's coming up, they're like, oh shit, we got max money.
Oh, we got
max money. Because, our best player's not max, right? So here, we can give you this, right? And you sign it for 2 years. Now y'all both up at the same time, and then we can go from there. But I get to rent a max player because I don't have that money capped off. So, this gives them a chance, like with Ja Morant. He's $40 million cheaper, right? My Supermax player is not Supermax right now.
Yeah.
Yay.
Right.
Yo, Gilbert Arenas be bugging out, but every once in a while, he definitely gives you some gems. And with Ja Morant, that's not really his franchise doing that. That's really all on him being an idiot. But once again, that's another small market team in the Memphis Grizzlies benefiting from the 65 game rule.
Right, Halliburton, my Supermax player, not Supermax, right? So when you're talking about, I don't need so technically they can go out there and get them a Supermax player. So on record or on their stat sheet, Halliburton is their second highest paid player. So instead of having 2 max, I got 1 Supermax and 1 max. So he becomes Jaylen Brown to Boston. I got him, my Supermax is gonna be Tatum,
which is like 330 or something.
It's gonna be up there, man.
So with the 65 game rule, the way the owners actually structured this was as a team rule. So all the owners came in together and they actually skated around the players union. They actually didn't have to even speak to them about it, because this is a rule that's imposed on teams. But at the end of the day, it affects players' contracts, which are also tied to certain individual awards. That's why it's surprising that the players and owners agreed to a new CBA so quick. These owners have teams of lawyers that know how to skate their way around contracts and also money. And this is looking like only the beginning of some of the cracks that's going to start to show with this new CBA, because another thing that's low-key been taken away is player movement. So when we look at the new CBA on the surface level, yeah, the players are taking more percentage of the revenue, but the way the owners structured everything, their superstars, which are really the ones that are receiving the bulk of the revenue, actually have to get to it and endure a little bit of luck through that 82 game grueling season. But hey, there could still be amendments made to this new rule, because there is an other side to this coin. They could be forcing their star players, which are pretty much the real main attraction, they could be forcing them to come back way too early in order to get their money, and risking even further injury as we see it play out with Joel Embiid. Owners definitely don't want to risk their most valuable assets in their superstars, as we've seen with the Milwaukee Bucks brand new ownership, that the value of Giannis attached to that franchise also helps them in the overall evaluation of how much that franchise is worth. Same thing for the Phoenix Suns owner, going after Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal after he purchased that team for an inflated price of $4 billion. So their superstars being attached to their franchise's evaluation is real important. I'm pretty sure the owners are going to make amendments to not put their superstars at risk. But hey, at the end of the day, one thing that can't be overlooked is that these owners have teams of lawyers who understand contract language, and they're crafty enough to frame this 65 game rule as getting rid of quote unquote load management culture and getting back to basketball. So on the surface level, they're marketing this a certain way, but at the same time, underneath the cracks, this could potentially save them a lot of money, and shifting some of that revenue share that the players have, I believe is at 51%, they can actually shift that balance back their way. Because even though the owners have emphasized that this 65 game rule is something that's imposed as a team rule, we all know it affects the individual players, and you could look no further than the superstars of teams. Because now that ties into individual awards, which then those individual awards also ties into them getting certain Supermax contracts. So we'll see how this plays out.